It's week 2 of the college basketball season, coming to you from the campus of Washington State University, where the Cougars welcome in the St. Thomas Tommies to Beasley Coliseum. And it should be a fun one tonight between the Cougs and the Tommies. Alongside Stephen Madison, I'm Trevor Williams, and Stephen, for St. Thomas, coming off their first win of the year, for Washington State just itching to get win number 1.
Yeah, trying to get win number 1, and it's going to start on the defensive side for the Cougars tonight, but they have a really good, worthy opponent in the St. Thomas Tommies.
Tommies, one of the better mid-major programs in college basketball. When you look at Washington State, everything they lost from a year ago, this Cougar team still figuring out as a unit this year.
Yeah, and it starts with the assist. 86% loss from last year. That's such a big thing because getting the ball movement is a key thing for David Riley and these Cougars.
For Washington State to get it done, Adria Rodriguez, who's come in from Spain for the Cougars for his senior year, he could be a pivotal player at the point for Wazoo.
Yeah, and it starts with the point guard when you talk about assists.
Cougars have also gotten a lot of production from Emmanuel Ugbo here at the start of the year. Ugbo's a transfer from Boise State, and he's been Washington State's best scorer to start the season.
Had trouble finding his footing on that Boise State roster, but it's looking good here at the first 2 games for Ugbo.
St. Thomas is led by John Tower, 15th season. He's coming up on 300 career wins as a college head coach. He's already, with this team, their first year in Division I, one of the top 30 coaches in terms of longevity, as he's been around for a long time in St. Paul. Over on the other side for Washington State is David Riley, second-year head coach of the Cougs, but no stranger to Eastern Washington as he coached for the Eagles for a long time and then played up at Whitworth. Opening tip tonight, Washington State and St. Thomas, and it's won by the Tommies. St. Thomas coming off a home win against Army on Saturday, and they broke in a beautiful new arena. Straight on 3 to start it for the Tommies, off the mark from Carter Bjerke. See the starting 5 for Washington State. Tomas Thrasterson, a returner for the Cougars, and Andy Okafor looking to get involved in the post. Jerome Morton, transfer from Morehead State, giving it up to Tomas Thrasterson, and he's picked off in the lane, taken away by Ben Osterbond. Nolan Minisali, preseason player of the year in the Summit League, leads this starting 5, Stephen. These two teams are so interesting. They both love to shoot. Offensive-minded teams. St. Thomas, over the last few years, they've done a great job of taking care of the basketball as well.
Yeah, really good job at taking care of basketball, but you make a great point. Both teams like to shoot it, and they're not shooting it well here early on in the season. So trying to crack that seal from 3 as we see one from St. Thomas.
Out of the corner, missed by Nick Janowski, freshman out of Pewaukee, Wisconsin. Washington State, its second trip down the floor, and the ball kicked by Janowski. Couple 4-star recruits for St. Thomas. Janowski, who's in the starting 5. Isaiah Johnson Origu, who we'll see later on tonight as well. St. Thomas, first year eligible for the NCAA tournament. They've made the transition up to Division I. They're no slouch, though. They lit the world on fire during their transition period.
Yeah, and you talk about teams that make those transitions. You think it's going to take a couple years to get at that competitive level, but it's been a quick turnaround for Johnny Tower and the Tommies.
Andy Okafor going to work inside for Washington State, and the Cougars have the first points tonight.
Yeah, and the big thing about that type of basket is the patience that the Cougars are showing early on. Get the ball inside and try to convert some easy ones early on.
Ryan Dufault tight roping the end line. Carter Bjerke. Washington State wanted to travel. Bjerke trying his second 3. He's missed both of them at the start. Bjerke, his freshman year, a couple years back, was nearly a 50% three-point shooter. He's trying to get it going. Tomas Thrasterson, step back for Washington State. That's off the mark. Andy Okafor saves it to Adria Rodriguez. New life for the Cougars on the possession. To the corner, Thrasterson, another 3-point try. This one he buries.
And it all starts with Rodriguez there. Does a good job of making that baseline drive, having his eyes up, and finding the corner 3. When we're talking about the assist, the ball movement. Early on here from the Cougs, we're seeing it.
First 3 of the year for Tomas Thrasterson, the sophomore out of Iceland. Nolan Minisali over to the corner. Nick Janowski for 3. Rebound down to Thrasterson and the Cougs. Here they come. Thrasterson trying to push the tempo. Steven, you were talking to David Riley. He said ball movement's going to be critical for the Cougars to get out of this early season slump.
Yeah, and we see a turnover there from the Cougs, but it's about getting the ball movement, and there's a balance between being rushed and playing at pace.
Nolan Minasali with the behind-the-back dribble, leaving it off for another three-point try for St. Thomas. All 5 of their shots from beyond the arc, all 5 have been missed. That time, Ben Osterbahn.
And it's really unusual for St. Thomas, a team that's always good from the three-point line. Early on, woes only 20% as a team, not something Johnny Tower is used to.
He was a great three-point shooter in his own right in college, John Tower. As Tomas Thrasterson has his second bucket, he has 5 of the Cougars' first 7 points. Washington State had been slow starts in their first 2 games. They burst out of the gates with a 7-0 lead tonight. Another 3 for the Tommies. It rattles off for Carter Bierke. Students letting them know they're 0 for 6 to start from 3. Adria Rodriguez inside to Andy Okafor, trying to get his own rebound, and that's off St. Thomas. Stay with Washington State.
Yeah, we see the replay here. A little high underneath ball screen. Rodriguez keeps his heads up, probes the lane, and finds Thrasterson in the corner. And a good start for Thrasterson. Once you knock down a 3, you got to get that feel, and finds himself open in that mid-range area and does a good job attacking. I like the pace that the Cougs are playing at, but they're also playing smart and under control.
Already the Cougars with 8 rebounds as well. Jerome Morton over to Tomas Thrasterson. Ace Glass down inside to Emmanuel Ugbo. Thrasterson on a skip pass. He's got his second triple.
I mean, why not find him? He's knocked down his first 2 shots. Good job from Ugbo there, having his eyes up in the post.
Cougars have started 4 from 6 from the floor, and Washington State fans are breathing a sigh of relief, saying this is more of what they expected this season. Nolan Minasali, preseason player of the year in the Summit League, trying to do it himself, and he'll get to the free throw line for the Tommies when we come back. It's the Tomas Thrasterson show to start it off for Washington State. Cougars with a 10-0 run to start the game. Thrasterson a pair of 3s. Thorlaksson Iceland stand up. Tomas Thrasterson, he's got 7 or 8 make it of the Cougars' first 10 points and a couple 3-pointers.
Yeah, did a good job of spacing. 2 of them have been off great assists from teammates, and the other one is just finding himself in those open areas.
For St. Thomas, it's been interesting here at the start as we look at the international players for Washington State. They've got a ton of guys that they've recruited from overseas. It's the kind of teams that David Riley's put together. He goes a long ways for recruiting.
And it's something you're seeing in college basketball just in general, is so much international presence now in the college basketball game.
Nolan Minasali has the free throws after the foul on Emily Yalaho before the timeout. Minasali misses the first. He has started the season 6 of 10. He's the first sophomore in the last 8 years in the Summit League to pick up the preseason player of the year nod, and he has his first point tonight. Tommies, all their shots from the floor have been from deep, Steven, and they don't have a rebound yet because it's been 2 turnovers for Washington State, and other than that, the Cougars have made all their shots. Simon Hildebrand taking it inside. It'll be on the floor. Foul on Isaiah Johnson-Arrigu. I know the officials, this is that continuous motion they're getting used to. They came in and said, no, it's a shooting foul for Simon Hildebrand, so he'll take 2 shots here.
But yeah, and you can see here, good job from Hildebrand driving the closeout, but on the gather he's getting fouled. And I love this rule. You know that, Trevor. I love scoring in college. I love scoring the basketball. If you can see more points in the college game, why not add it?
That's spoken like a guy who scored, what, something like 1,800 points in his college career?
I don't remember. I just...
Into the game, Austin Hero for St. Thomas. And yes, that is the younger brother of Tyler Hero of the Miami Heat. And Austin splashes in a 3, the first make for St. Thomas from downtown.
And a really good job from St. Thomas, recognizing that the Cougars are in a zone. Get the ball to the high post and you're going to have kick-out opportunities.
Hards Favors making his home debut for Washington State. He was held scoreless in 9 minutes against Davidson. Cougars went all the way across the country game 2. They had a heartbreaking loss to open the season against a local rival in Idaho. All despite a furious rally down the stretch by Washington State. Good start for the Cougars tonight at home. Johnson Arrigu with ace glass knocking it loose. 5 left to shoot. Minnesali gives it off late. Nice eyes to Ryan Lafferty.
And Minnesali sold his eyes to the hoop to get the defense to suck in, and Lafferty is the beneficiary of that drop-off.
St. Thomas looking a little more relaxed after the first media timeout. They've gotten 6 points since that first break. Emily Yalaho picked up by Jermaine Coleman. Yalaho, a hand came in to try to swipe it out. Simon Hildebrand for 3 off the mark. And Coleman with the rebound. Tommy's getting out and running with Nolan Minnesali. Now it moves around the perimeter. Austin Hero around Hards Favors, kicks it out to the corner. Drive through contact for Isaiah Johnson Arrigu.
I mean, look how much ball movement we saw in that possession for the Tommies. Doing a good job of sharing it, driving the lane, making the Cougars play multiple efforts on the defensive end, and it ends up with another layup.
This is a 7-0 run for St. Thomas. And Jerome Morton fouled on the take for Washington State.
Yeah, the ball's getting moved around. Good job from Hero getting downhill. Understands he doesn't have an open layup, so why not move it one more time?
Both Favors and Yalaho trying to converge on Johnson Arrigu on the take. Jerome Morton has the free throws for the Cougars. Moorhead State transfer who led the Eagles in assists a season ago and was second in scoring. He started the year averaging 10.5 a game, and he's now 3 of 4 at the free throw line. Nick Janowski back for St. Thomas. See Emily Yalaho to the bench for WSU. Junior Texas Tech transfer. Both free throws good for Jerome Morton. Stephen, I think Washington State in total, they felt really good about what they did in the transfer portal coming into this year. Maybe it hasn't shown yet in the results in 2 games, but between that international addition of Adria Rodriguez, the Cougars feel like they've got some great pieces.
Yeah, and it's tough. You hit the transfer portal, you replace basically 5 starters, and you have a whole new team. It's going to take some time and some meshing in real game speed. You know, you can do it in practice for weeks, but you got to get out there and play these games.
Isaiah Johnson Arrigo lost his footing, but was able to get it to Austin Hero. Out of the corner, Jermaine Coleman. He wanted the second three-pointer for St. Thomas. The Tommies have started 1 of 8 from 3. The Cougars 2 of 5. Takeaway by Austin Hero. Little hand into Parker Garrett's. Up the floor, Janowski, nice take, Janowski with a nice take under the cup. That's Nick Janowski with his first points.
And this is exactly what David Riley talked to me about. Anytime you turn the ball over versus this St. Thomas team, they're going to get out on the break and in transition and really push the effort towards the hoop.
Andy Okafor drives for Washington State. Welcome sign for the Cougars. A couple Okafor baskets, and they'd like to see him be more involved on the offensive end this year.
I mean, you just see his stature. He has that physicality and that ability to score inside.
Johnson Arrigu with Hards Favors getting to the air ball. Now Adria Rodriguez with his eyes up, lobbing to Favors on the wing. Inside to Okafor. Okafor feels a mismatch with Johnson Arrigu. Okafor goes up. Tries to stick with his miss. Rebound to Hero. Hero pushing the tempo. Left side Lafferty, but it's a charge into Parker Garrett's.
And a good job there from Garrett's. Sticking with the passer. Sometimes players tend to get out of the way, but as the passer, sometimes throwing it that Garrett does a good job of putting his body on the line for his team.
See him get set there nicely outside of the restricted area. Cougars get the ball on what is just the first turnover for St. Thomas in the opening 8 minutes. The Tommies get this over the past 4 seasons, along with Iowa and Wisconsin, one of only 3 teams to average fewer than 10 turnovers per game.
Yeah, it's really an interesting stat because of the pace they play at.
Tomas Thrasterson, he's red hot. He's got 3 triples here in the first half. He's got over half of Washington State's points to start it tonight. 11 for the sophomore. Already had a career-high 17 against Idaho in the season opener. Trying to play defense on Janowski, who has his second nice finish under the basket.
Really good touch there from Janowski. Right-hand spinner. A little bit of English on that one.
WSU, all three three-pointers have come from Tomas Thrasterson. He's feeling it, wants a fourth, a little long. Rebound pulled down by Bjerke. Hero up to Lafferty. Ryan Lafferty, sophomore product from Spokane, Washington, just up the road. Drive by Janowski, who's had a nice couple finishes inside. He wants to take Ugbo. A kick out around the perimeter, 6 to shoot. Lafferty to the corner. Hero for 3, off the mark. Batted around, Washington State takes it. And then a foul on Austin Hero. That's going to be the second on the sophomore from Milwaukee. Tomas Thrasterson has been the story in the early minutes for Washington State. He has all 3 of the Cougars' three-pointers. Wazoo up 7.
We rise in the West. We see the boundless horizon. We celebrate long days and the longer light. It ignites our passion. It fuels champions and inspires those who play lights out. As each day sets, we are always the last one standing. It's our zone because we rise in the West, the West Conference. The West.
Credit Union One, the official credit union of the West Coast Conference, offers the best of everyday banking. CU1 members gain access to competitive products like high-yield checking, dedicated financial wellness resources to help you build a strong foundation for the future, and nationwide access through 24/7 digital and mobile banking and an expansive network of 90,000 ATMs from coast to coast. Discover better banking for all at cu1.com, federally insured by NCUA.
Here at Washington State University, we aim our eyes on local community cities, on all corners of the globe, on the future. And we go. Identifying challenges, uncovering potential.
We go forward.
We go boldly.
We go cultivate.
Go imagine.
Go further.
Go heal.
Fearlessly, tirelessly, with all we are, with all we've got.
We go together.
Washington State University. Here we go.
We rise.
Well, Stephen, we said that the Cougars needed to see some shots fall tonight, and they've gotten it early from Tomas Thrasterson, one of their big returners.
Yeah, he's done a really good job of knocking down shots, but I think it's the way that he's been knocking down shots, the ball movement, the patience. It's something that David Riley's been pushing on for this week from his team is we want to see the ball move a little bit more before we shoot a shot, and they've done a great job of that, and Thrasterson has been the beneficiary of that.
Cougars are really impressed with what he did in the offseason between his freshman and sophomore years. And you know, Stephen, as a player, it can be a time where you get one of your biggest jumps.
Yeah, definitely. You start to build confidence, and you start to get that feel on the court. Because sometimes, as a young player, you're running around, you feel so much pressure. You're just trying to do everything right to stay on the court. And then you start to get into that rhythm of scoring. You get a little bit more trust from your coach, and then things start to really click for you.
David Riley happy to see it tonight. His Cougs, the losses to Idaho and Davidson last week. They were frustrated because they said it wasn't the type of basketball they felt like they were playing throughout the entire fall. Kicked ball to still be Washington State's here.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. You play in scrimmages, you play in exhibition games, you scrimmage yourself a lot. You see certain things, but then when you get on the court, things start to change and the pace starts to pick up.
Nice catch by Tomas Thrasterson on the inbounds. Emmanuel Ugbo backing it down, gives it back out high, 10 to shoot. Andre Rodriguez on the crossover, rises up and it comes out of the basket, but a follow by Ugbo, he's fouled. He'll have a chance for a three-point play.
And the first points there for Ugbo. Does a good job of just staying aggressive. Continue to pressure the paint.
Emmanuel Ugbo, 2 seasons at Boise State. He had to waiting for NCAA clearance. You mentioned just a tremendous body, 6'8", 250, solid muscle.
And look, they have him at the front of their press, this 1-2-2 press. When you have the ability to put someone with that size and that length, it just makes it so difficult.
St. Thomas getting it to Nolan Minasali. Around the horn. Window closed for Ben Osterbahn. Minasali off the shot fake. Tries to drop it underneath. Okafor there to help out. 3 to shoot. Janowski trying to get a little space. And he gets the bounce.
What a bounce for Janowski.
Nick Janowski's got 7 of St. Thomas's 15. See the numbers against Army on Saturday, 16 and 5 with 3 assists. Andre Rodriguez pulls the trigger on a 3, and he's the first guy not named Tomas Thrasterson to hit one for the Cougars tonight.
Cool, calm, and collected Rodriguez right there. Seeing that the defender's stepping back, giving him that space, you got to take advantage of those opportunities.
Bodies hit the deck, but no whistle. Nolan Minasali, his only point so far is at the free throw line. He distributes to the corner. Ben Osterbahn into the paint. Thrasterson a hand in his face. Nice defense by the sophomore. Ugbo up and running for the Cougars. Puts a shoulder down. It's an offensive foul on Emmanuel Ugbo.
I like the aggressiveness there, but anytime you drop your shoulder in transition on the primary defender, the referees are going to get you for an offensive foul there. Yeah, and you can see it here. Just right shoulder down. Minasali in good position.
Minasali going to inbound with Ryan Dufault back on the floor. See what Dufault can do. 5.5 points a game. 2 years ago, he was the Tommy's leader from the floor in terms of shot percentage. Minasali pushed off his spot by Emmanuel Ugbo, and that's 2 quick fouls on Ugbo in just a matter of 15 seconds. That changes things for Washington State a bit. They bring back in Simon Hildebrandt with the 2 fouls on Ugbo. Over on the other side, Austin Hero with 2 fouls for St. Thomas. Jermaine Coleman back in for the Tommies. Nick Janowski taking it hard inside. Didn't get a call he wanted, a foul on Jerome Morton. Tomas Thrasterson having this great first half, has the ball ripped away, and a timeout called by St. Thomas right away.
And those are the plays, if you're the Cougars, you want to be under control. You want to have that balance of playing at pace but not being rushed. And they've done such a good job of that so far.
We'll take a timeout. Washington State with the 10-point lead early tonight. St. Thomas trying to get back into it.
Talking about a St. Thomas team that is so good on the offensive end. You can see the stats from last year, but it's been the defense of the Cougars so far in this game, holding St. Thomas to only 2 of 11 tonight, Trevor.
Yeah, that 40% three-point mark. Not only did it lead the Summit League a season ago, it was 8th in all of college basketball. And it's a team that had an effective field goal percentage that was top 3 in the nation a year ago. Now, admittedly, St. Thomas has said it hasn't clicked yet offensively. They're hoping that can change quickly.
Yeah, and it's been tough. The physicality of Washington State early on, it feels like it's bothered them, especially around the rim.
Nolan Minasali trying to cross over. Emily Alaho. Shot bounce high. Hildebrandt with the board.
And that's a point right there. Alaho does a good job of being physical with Minasali in that 10 to 15-foot range.
Ace Glass, freshman's been impressive. His shot circles the iron. Now Washington State's plus 10 on the glass as well. And that was a big thing that the Cougars talked about after last year, Stephen, that not only their defense had to get better, but they needed to do a better job of rebounding. Another three-pointer, Jermaine Coleman this time. He has the 3rd for the Tommies.
And the Tommies continue to really drive the lane and put the pressure on the paint to try to get these outside looks and finally get one to fall.
Tomas Thrasterson just wrestling that away in the lane and able to finish off glass. He has 13 first-half points. Minasali quickly the other way. He's fouled by Thrasterson. Count the basket. Nolan Minasali, chance for a 3-point play.
Good in and out here move in transition from Minasali. That's a tough call there. I know it's a little bit tighter on these continuations.
Yeah, it looked like dribbles gathered, and he got the one step into the shot. I think you're going to see a lot more of that this year with the continuous motion, and the referees are going to get used to it early in the year as well. You saw it take just a moment for Darren White, experienced official, Eric Curry, Chance Moore, the other refs on the crew tonight. St. Thomas has cut this to a 6-point deficit with those last couple possessions. 6 quick points for the Tommies. Jerome Morton splitting 2 defenders. Morton in a crowd, out to Thrasterson. Tomas Thrasterson. 4 3-pointers in the first half. That ties his career best for threes made in a game. And taken away by Simon Hildebrandt. Here come the Cougars. Hildebrandt shoveled it to Garretts. Emily Alaho now trying to work down against Jermaine Coleman. Thrasterson around the corner. He's going to go to the free throw line, Stephen, with a chance to hit his career high in scoring in the first half.
And that's exactly what happens. You start to knock down threes, as we see here. Morton does a good job of putting his head down, getting in the middle of the paint. Anytime you can get middle, things are going to open up and good things are going to happen. And we see the three-pointer there. But back to the point I was making is anytime you're able to knock down 4 threes, the defense is going to close out a little bit tighter. Those driving lanes are going to continue to be open for Thrasterson.
He's matched his career high of 17 points now. The job he's done at the free throw line is tremendous too, Stephen. He was a 56% free throw shooter his freshman year. He has started this year at 90%, now 18 of 20.
Yeah, and there's no reason for a shooter with the mechanics that he has and the ability to shoot that low of a percentage, but a great turnaround here in his sophomore campaign so far.
Only took him 13 and a half minutes to set a new career high tonight. He's had over half of Washington State's points and 4 made threes. Ryan Lafferty kicking out of the elbow. Austin Hero back in with 2 fouls. He's stopped up. Jermaine Coleman, tough 3, airballed, shot clock violation. Another big defensive possession from the Cougars.
And this is exactly what you have to feed on. When you've lost your first 2 games, you have to come in with the energy on the defensive end, and early on the Cougs are showing that.
Talk about a young coach that brings some energy. David Riley there fired up for his guys as they go on the attack. Emily Alaho too quick to Simon Hildebrandt from close range. Ryan Lafferty trying to body up Parker Garretts, and Garretts picks his pocket. Jerome Morton now up the floor, 3-on-2. Morton drops it to Alaho, who's fouled, and the Cougars have another look at a 3-point play.
Starts on the defensive end. Good job staying sturdy in there in the post, Garretts. And then you got to get out and run. Anytime you can get that advantage, you got to go. And Alaho does a good job of taking the contact and still having his eyes up on the rim to finish.
We mentioned St. Thomas over the last 4 years. They don't turn it over much. They've had 3 turnovers in the last minute 40. And Washington State's turned it into a 7-point run with a chance to add to it at the free throw line for Emily Alaho. Texas Tech transfer who's out of Finland, suffered an upper body injury last year, didn't play after February 1st. He's hoping to have a big rebound season with Washington State. 14-point lead for the Cougars, their largest of the half, taken away by Rahards Vavers. Vavers able to go straight to the basket. Timeout, St. Thomas. And Washington State, an inspired start in this first half. Fell in holes against Idaho and Davidson, but the Cougars have come out guns a-blazing tonight.
Yeah, and the Cougars are mixing it up. 1-2-2, zone press. And just some miscommunication there from St. Thomas, not getting into their press breaker, because the Cougs have switched up. They've done man-to-man press. They've gone to the 1-2-2. You got to be ready for the pressure right now. They're continuously showing it.
For Rahards Vavers, first points of the year. Vavers, who had an injury-riddled season last year for Washington State, Stephen, he was so excited. He had a healthy offseason, and then he had a little bump before the start of the year that put him on the shelf momentarily. You look at what the Cougars have done. Just Tomas Thrasterson alone, he's nearly outscored the Tommies in the first half.
Yeah, the 4 for 6 shows you the quality of shots. I think they've done a better job than St. Thomas in getting quality three-pointers. They're not just out there shooting them at will, one-pass shots. They're getting to multiple ball movements, and that's what's happening for them. And that's why the score is at 16 points right now.
It's a 10-0 run for Washington State over the last 95 seconds of game time. And St. Thomas, during this run, has turned it over 4 times. Nolan Minnesali, Cougars have kept him quiet in the first half, just 4 points. He scored 20-plus each of the first 2 games. Came in averaging 22. There he is on the drive to the rack, and he stuffs it.
Minnesali showing you that athletic ability. Such a great build for a guard, and has that athletic spring.
Nice way to put an end to the wrong side of a 10-0 run, right?
Exactly, and especially versus the zone of the Cougs. You got to attack it, and they do a good job there.
Parker Garrett's coming off 7 points, a couple steals at Davidson. Rising up, Simon Hildebrandt. Front iron, Yalaho trying to get to the rebound, and he's pushed.
And that's one of those ones I'd like to see Hildebrandt take the ball and back down and get all the way to the rim. But here we go. You see the pressure, almost a trap. Gets around the initial defender, and there's not much in the middle of the paint for the Cougs on defense, and Minnesali finishes it with authority.
Good defender, Minnesali as well. Led the Summit League in blocks per game and was 6th in steals a season ago. Sophomore guard from Brookfield, Wisconsin. And Marquette University High School, one that made us do a double take in preparation for this one.
Yeah, checking it out, I was like, is this guy transferred from Marquette? Marquette University, interesting name for a high school. But what a player, and you can see the pieces that this St. Thomas team does have.
Emily Yalaho, both free throws good. He has 5 points in the first half, and he's 3 of 3 at the line on his first free throw attempts of the year.
And I really like the mixing up of the defenses for the Cougs, seeing full court man pressure now. It just keeps the offense off guard and off balance.
Adria Rodriguez gets his big wingspan in the passing lane, takes it away and scores for Washington State. Rodriguez, he's 6'4", but he has a 7-foot wingspan, and he used it to swipe it for the Cougars. David Riley was so excited. He says he's never had a guard with the length of Rodriguez to stop things up top. Minnesali with a 3. Favors has the board. Rebounding's plus 12 for Washington State. Ace Glass, who's had a nice first couple games, rises up from the elbow. He's gotten a couple tough rolls here in the first half. Out of the corner, 3 off the mark for Carter Bjerke. Tough day for Bjerke so far, 0 for 4, all shots from downtown. 18-point first half lead for Washington State. A drubbing for the Cougars here in the opening 17 minutes. Andy Okafor working in on Bjerke. Out to Rodriguez, 3 to shoot. Adria Rodriguez gonna take it under the cup. How about that? Over the shoulder, flipping it off the glass.
Very crafty, nifty move there from Rodriguez. He gives the ball fake on his first step, gets the defense off balance, and that gives him that opening lane on the other side for the flip with the right.
20-point lead for the Cougs. A 3 from Nick Janowski will quiet things for just a moment, but what's been an excellent first half for Washington State. Janowski, 10 first half points. He's led St. Thomas in scoring tonight. Adria Rodriguez off the handoff. Boy, Rodriguez all of a sudden, he is heating up for Washington State. He's got moves all over the floor.
Yeah, you can see the range and the length he has. He's able to use his shoulders and use that reach and length to get to the rim through the smaller defenders.
It's kind of like that steal and score really got him going. Minnesali, little space, kick back to Bjerke. Bjerke, who missed his first 4 threes. Minnesali just able to collect it in the corner and drive around Okafor using some of that speed.
That's a tough basket there from Minnesali, but it's the effort that St. Thomas is having to put in to get these easy baskets. The Cougs are being tough.
Off the mark for Rahards Favors. He went on a tear last year in which he was nearly 50% from 3 for Washington State and couldn't miss for a good portion of February. Ball rattles off for Andy Okafor. They called him the Latvian laser last year because he was nearly dead-eye for Washington State. Ace Glass, the defender, to a knee, and Glass has his first make of the game.
And talking with you before the game, I'm so high on Ace Glass. His ability to score the ball as a freshman coming in here with that build. He doesn't look like your typical freshman, but man, does he have a sweet stroke and a sweet jump shot.
Speaking of that late comeback attempt on Idaho, it was Ace Glass who really supercharged it for the Cougars. Nolan Minnesali on the drive against ND Okafor. Ryan Dufault looking for his first points, just able to get it out of the reach of Everhard's Favors. First points for Dufault, timeout Washington State. Cougars had one to use here with 42 and 8/10 left in the half. It's also our media timeout. Adria Rodriguez, the steal and the score for Washington State. He's got 9 first half points.
Gatorade has the #1 proven electrolyte blend, designed to hydrate better than water, made to rehydrate, replenish, and refuel, so you can lose more sweat and run the game. Gatorade, is it in you?
Here at Washington State University, we train our eyes on local communities, on all corners of the globe, on the future. And we go, identifying challenges, uncovering potential.
We go forward.
We go boldly. We go cultivate.
Go imagine.
Go further. Go heal.
Fearlessly, tirelessly, with all we are, with all we've got.
We go together.
Washington State University. Here we go.
Clutch Seats. Get in on the action. Don't miss the save. Scoring tickets has never been easier. Get your tickets now at soldout.com. Soldout.com is a proud partner of the West Coast Conference.
Gatorade has the #1 proven electrolyte blend, designed to hydrate better water, made to rehydrate, replenish, and refuel, so you can lose more sweat and run the game. Gatorade, is it in you?
We talked off the top about Washington State's need to get production from Adria Rodriguez. He's come to the Cougars from Spain, ruled a senior by NCAA eligibility, and boy, he's been great tonight.
Yeah, the 9 points are impressive, but it's the assists. 3 assists in the way that he's been able to help control the tempo in the game for the Cougars. It's just been a recipe for success tonight.
Also key, no turnovers. Simon Hildebrandt fouled on his way up. If that's on Isaiah Johnson-Origu, that's his third. Instead, it's on Jermaine Coleman, his first. Couple free throws for Hildebrandt. He hit his first 2 earlier tonight for his only points. He's 9 of 11 at the line this year. He was back near his old stomping grounds when the Cougars went out to play Davidson. Played in North Carolina at High Point a season ago. Started his career University of Manitoba. Hits both free throws. It's getting colder on the Palouse. It's not going to bother him with the experience at the University of Manitoba.
Yeah, definitely not.
Into the game, Hayden Tibbetts for St. Thomas, the 5'11 sophomore from Medina, Minnesota. Final seconds of the first half. St. Thomas trying to keep the clock low, prevent Washington State from getting another possession. The take on ND Okafor for Isaiah Johnson-Origu. He can't believe he didn't get a foul call. Adria Rodriguez from half court at the horn, just off the mark. What a half for Washington State, Stephen. A 20-point lead going to the locker room, and they put up 50 in the first half.
Doing a really good job on the defensive end, but then turning that into transition baskets, and that's the difference in the game right now, being able to dominate the paint.
Cougars shot nearly 60% in the first half and went 6 of 12 from 3. By the way, they were up 20-7 on the boards. And Washington State only committed 6 turnovers. The 2 guys who led the way, Tomas Thrasterson and Adria Rodriguez in the half.
Doing such a good job on the offensive end and being so efficient. 6 of 8 for Thrasterson and 4 of 5 for Rodriguez. and then you see the three-point knocking down, and that's what's opening up the rest of the the paint for this Cougars team.
Washington State off and rolling. We've got our halftime coming up next. The Cougars lead by 20 at the break over the Tommies, looking for their first win of this young season. Big first half for the Washington State Cougars, up on the St. Thomas Tommies by 20 at the break. Back here courtside alongside Stephen Madison, I'm Trevor Williams. And Stephen, for Washington State, they're playing a good team here in St. Thomas. Picked to win the Summit League. The Cougars have come out on fire tonight.
Yeah, St. Thomas, only 5 years in Division I, and have found themselves at the top of the preseason polls for this Summit League.
They were one of the better teams, St. Thomas, 73 wins over their 4-year transition to D1. You see Denver here in the Summit League as well, picked 7th. They are headed to the WCC next year. And for more on that, we check out the reaction from both the Denver Athletic Department and the West Coast Conference.
Good afternoon to all of you. I am thrilled that the University of Denver has accepted an invitation to join the West Coast Conference. This is a special day for all of us. Denver's history of athletic performance is undeniable, having finished as the top non-football athletics program in the Directors' Cup standings each of the last 12 years. Their programs have won 35 national championships overall and advanced to the NCAA Men's Soccer College Cup twice in the last 9 seasons. Among the 9 sports that Denver will compete in the West Coast Conference, the Pioneers have earned an NCAA berth 91 times since 1998. Their athletic achievements are matched by the quality of their institution. In my conversations with Chancellor Jeremy Haefner, I have learned that Denver University offers a dynamic and immersive academic experience keenly focused on both personal and professional growth. The University of Denver's qualities of academic and athletic achievement mirror the standard of excellence of the West Coast Conference. I applaud the leadership of Chancellor Haefner and Vice Chancellor Josh Berlow for their extraordinary leadership, and I want to welcome them and the Pioneers to the West Coast Conference.
And thank you, Commissioner Jackson, for those wonderful words. They're deeply appreciated. On behalf of the University of Denver, we are delighted to be joining the West Coast Conference in 26-27. This represents a significant step in the journey to elevate the University of Denver's athletics, institutional reputation, national visibility, and excellence. Joining the West Coast Conference is a statement about who we are and where we are headed. A university defined by excellence, purpose, and the pursuit of greatness inside and outside the classroom.
Thank you, Chancellor Haefner, for your support of this endeavor and that of the board. Put simply, the West Coast Conference and the University of Denver are a natural fit. It's an institutional fit, it's a geographic fit, and it's a fit for the pursuit of excellence. And that's really where our student athletes, I had the opportunity to inform our coaches this morning, and the energy was palpable. Can't wait to jump in with 2 feet and compete against the tradition-laden programs in the West Coast Conference in so many spaces. This is something that the athletic department of the university have aspired to for a long time, and it goes to all of those here at the University of Denver that have built this tradition of excellence, broad-based, academic, competitive pursuits that have put us in a position for this partnership, and we couldn't be more appreciative to the membership of the West Coast Conference for seeing the value that the University of Denver brings. Denver.
It's exciting times up ahead for Denver in the WCC. Well, that's a little butch here inside Beasley Coliseum. 50-30, the Washington State lead. We're back. Washington State halfway to 100 through the first half against St. Thomas. And Stephen, I'll be honest with you, coming into this game, I don't know that we saw something like this coming in the first half. But for Washington State, when things have been a little tight, the shots hadn't been falling, you need a guy to loosen it up. Tomas Thrasterson was that guy for the Cougars.
Yeah, and it came off right out of the jump of the game. Being able to knock down some threes and loosen the tension of this Cougars offense that's struggled the first 2 games. And then you just see the cutting and the great vision that they've displayed. The big things that stand out for me is 20 points in the paint. I know they've knocked down threes, but the 20 points in the paint and the 11 second chance points. They've done such a good job around the rim, and that's what's opened up those three-point opportunities.
And then you look at the Cougars. They went on a tick in the middle of the first half on the defensive side of the ball. They got out, they got on the break, they turned it into points and a big 10-point advantage in points off turnovers.
And doing a good job of being the physical defender, not allowing straight line drives. And you can see the pressure up has caused trouble for St. Thomas. And then just getting out and running with your head up, you're going to find easy baskets, and that's what the Cougars have done.
Washington State being led by Tomas Rasterson in the 18 first half points. As a team, though, it all comes together for what Washington State wants to be this year, their identity. A good shooting team from the floor, check, almost 60%. Good from three, check. Good at the free throw line, and a big rebounding advantage. This is exactly how the Cougars drew it up. We'll come back, get you ready for the second half of play. Washington State and St. Thomas right after this. A little bit of a rough first half for the St. Thomas fans who made their way into Beasley Coliseum tonight, hoping their guys can turn it around for half number two. Stephen, when you look at the adjustments for both of these teams coming out of the locker room, for Washington State, not much they want to change. St. Thomas, they got to get some more shots to fall.
Yeah, talking about St. Thomas first, they've done a good job of moving the ball. It's just about knocking down shots in college. You got to make open shots, and they're getting them. They're just not falling. And for the Cougars, you got to keep the same intensity that you have on defense. You have to let your defense dictate how your offense is, not the other way around. And that's what the Cougars did in the first half, and they got to replicate it here in the second.
St. Thomas has really struggled in rebounding so far this year, bottom 35 in college basketball, and only 7 first half rebounds. The Cougars only missed 11 shots. Washington State had all 4 offensive rebounds of the first half, and so it didn't leave many opportunities for the Tommies. Andy Okafor continuing to fill it up for Washington State, as Okafor has the first second half points. He's got 6 tonight.
And that's what I love. You come out of halftime, you want to show dominance again. You throw the ball right in the middle of the paint and let Andy Okafor go to work. And that just shows you who's been controlling the paint so far tonight.
Okafor's another returner for the Cougars, junior from Dundalk, Ireland, out of the NBA Academy Latin America, and a transfer from Cal. Nolan Minnesali, preseason player of the year in the Summit League, 8 first half points. Cougars did a good job of not letting him go off. And another shot clock violation, second forced by Washington State tonight, and they're giving the Tommies fits.
And it's just been multiple efforts on the defensive end for the Cougs, guarding 25, even 30 seconds into the shot clock and staying locked in. It's very difficult to do that, but have done a great job of that so far here.
Andy Okafor had the first bucket to start the half. Ball's in the hands of Andre Rodriguez. 9 first half points. Cougars were led by a career high 18 from Tomas Rasterson. Emmanuel Ugbo, an easy splash from the baseline.
Good patience there from Ugbo. Understanding what the defense is giving him. No one close out. Take your time. Set it like no one's in the gym.
Washington State is 18 of 29 as a team from the floor. 6 of 12 from 3. Emmanuel Ugbo following up his 16-point performance from last week with 5 so far tonight. Long rebound comes out to Ugbo. Ugbo then spinning up the floor into contact. And there may be shots coming here for Emmanuel Ugbo. We'll see.
And a good controlled spin move there. Sometimes in transition when you're moving too quickly, you get into those spin moves that are too aggressive and you get those charge calls. But you can see here, takes his patience, sees that no one's near him, and forces the issue into St. Thomas there, especially around that restricted line. You want to put pressure on the defense.
Carter Bjerke with the foul, his second personal. Ugbo has started the year now 12 of 15 at the free throw line at 80%. Ugbo, a native of the Netherlands. Mentioned sat out his first 2 years at Boise State waiting for NCAA clearance, and then earned a starting role at center later in Mountain West play for the Broncos last year. You can see why with the way he's played for Washington State to start this season.
I mean, career high 17 points versus New Mexico in the Mountain West tournament. You know he can show up in big games and really put it in the hole.
On the take, swatted away by Adria Rodriguez. Sends Ryan Dufault packing.
And what'd you say his wingspan is?
7 feet is, I believe, maybe it was 6'9". It's right up in there.
I mean, it's on full display there, showing that length and range to go up and get that ball on the drive.
We were talking to the coaches about it, had their game last week against Idaho. Connor Bjerke for three. He has his first of the day. Long time for Bjerke coming. His first making 6 tries from beyond the arc.
Such a capable shooter is Bjerke, and has had a bunch of open looks tonight and finally was able to crack the lid. You're going to see some more opportunities for him.
Emmanuel Ugbo around the handoff. Ugbo getting downhill, and Ugbo is so strong in there for Washington State.
Yeah, that's what we call pro pace. Coming off the ball screen, holding the defender on your hip, and he has that size and strength to do that, and you just have patience. Things are going to open up, and that's what happened right there.
You think this is what David Riley dialed up? He goes to Andy Okafor for the first basket, and then all Emmanuel Ugbo since then. Washington State trying to impose its will.
Yeah, exactly. Imposing your will is such a big thing, especially coming out of the second half. You have that halftime break. You got to come out and show who wants to be the more aggressive team.
Osterbond to Minnesale shot off the mark. For Nolan Minnesale, it's been a 3 for 6 shooting game. Andre Rodriguez for the dribble behind the back. Cougars trying to move the ball to the other side of the floor. Tomas Thrasterson, career high 18 points in the first half. Looking for his first college game with 5 made threes. Ball stolen away by Ben Osterbond. And it tipped out here at midcourt.
He had a good job here. I talked about it, having that pro pace, slowing down, getting that little bump, creating that separation that gives him that direct line to the rim. Really like what we're seeing here from Emmanuel Ugbo in this second half.
Talking about pro ball for the Cougars, I mean, this is the style you got to play, right? If you want to go to the next level, play in the NBA, you need to be a 5-out type player. Washington State has a lot of guys that fit that mold. Ace Glass, the freshman guard from Upland, California, has it stolen away. It's up to Nick Janowski, and he's able to lay it in ahead of Tomas Thrasterson. Nice steal from Ryan Dufall.
Yeah, and a gift there for St. Thomas. Glass just loses it, unforced turnover, and the Tommies are able to pick up an easy 2.
For Washington State, 8 turnovers. St. Thomas has had 7, and a timeout was called by Washington State on the floor. 23-point lead for the Cougars. We'll take the timeout as well. We're coming right back to Pullman after this on ESPN+.
After 6 years of military service, Tech Sergeant Barubi wanted to plant and watch them grow. He was ready to live in his hometown again. He was ready for the reserve.
Here at Washington State University, we train our eyes on local communities, on all corners of the globe, on the future. And we go. Identifying challenges, uncovering potential.
We go forward. We go boldly. We go cultivate.
Go imagine.
Go further. Go heal.
Fearlessly, tirelessly, with all we are, with all we've got.
We go together.
Washington State University. Here we go.
We rise in the West. We see the boundless horizon. We celebrate long days and the longer light. It ignites our passion. It fuels champions and inspires those who play lights out. As each day sets, we are always the last one standing. It's our zone because we rise in the West, the West Conference. West.
Credit Union One, the official credit union of the West Coast Conference, offers the best of everyday banking. CU1 members gain access to competitive products like high-yield checking, dedicated financial wellness resources to help you build a strong foundation for the future, and nationwide access through 24/7 digital and mobile banking and an expansive network of 90,000 ATMs from coast to coast. Discover better banking for all at cu1.com, federally insured by NCUA.
See where Washington State stacked up in the preseason poll in the WCC. Cougars right in the middle, and they're hoping to surprise folks this year in the West Coast Conference.
Yeah, and a lot of uncertainty when you turn over a roster like that, so massive, losing so many players. But we're seeing here tonight, if they're able to, duplicate these type of performances, you're going to see them start creeping towards the top of that WCC.
For Washington State right now in the second half, a 23-point lead over the preseason favorites out of the Summit League. And a rebound foul called on St. Thomas. It's time for another timeout. We'll be right back. 15:52. All right, we promise we're back for a little while now. 58-35 lead for Washington State. Cougars have the inbound. A great night for the Cougs, looking to grab their first win of the season. Ace Glass inbounds to Emily Yalaho. Spins into a double team, kicks out with Jerome Morton. Yalaho calling for Vavers. Back to Yalaho for three. Emily Yalaho splashes it in for Washington State.
It's one of those things when the ball starts to fall, it gets contagious with teammates, and you start to find those sparks, and it's just been such a great second half here so far for the Cougs, sharing the ball and then also defensive end.
Lead keeps growing for Washington State, shooting 61% the Cougar tonight. Nolan Minnesali trying to get around Ace Glass, and Minnesali barrels inside. He's into double figures with 10.
Staying patient, staying on the attack is Minnesali. He's never going to let up on that fact because things are going to open for him.
Simon Hildebrand. Rahards Vavers quick to Ace Glass. Jerome Morton over to Vavers. That's a nice pick and pop for Rahards. Vavers just doesn't get the payoff from the three. Nolan Minnesali in against Vavers. A lot of contact. Minnesali finishes tough.
And I know he's only a sophomore, but he plays like a veteran, understanding that shoulder bump, how to create separation to get open looks at the rim.
He was a two-time first teamer out of the state of Wisconsin. Almost 1,700 career prep points, and he's taken off in college basketball. Jerome Morton to Simon Hildebrand. He triggers the three. Rahards Vavers trying to get to the rebound. It's back to St. Thomas. Washington State didn't like it. Let's see if the Cougars go to a coach's challenge here.
Yeah, an interesting call there. Vavers does a good job of putting the pressure on the offensive glass. It's a real toss-up there. To me, that looked like it went off St. Thomas as we see the replay here. Vavers does a good job being the aggressor and clearly off St. Thomas.
Off that right hand of Nick Janowski. And Washington State, we'll see. This is new, right? So everyone's trying to figure out the mechanism for how this works. David Riley ends up saying no challenge, but the deal in college basketball this year, coaches' challenges are a new thing, and if you want to use a coach's challenge, you can do it on ball out of bounds plays, restricted area, goaltending, basket interference. You have to have a timeout to do it. Washington State did. They just decided not to challenge. Isaiah Johnson-Rigu has the basket for St. Thomas. If you're successful on your first challenge, you get one challenge additionally the rest of the game, but no more than two in the game, even if you're right both times. Ryan Lafferty and Noel Minnesali. He's had last couple buckets for St. Thomas in the lane, and he's fouled. We'll see if he was going up. It's going to the baseline instead. This is one of the plays when we talk about continuous motion, Stephen, that isn't going to get you the shots. Your dribble has to be done at the time of the foul.
Yeah, and you can see the foul was initially before the dribble. But back to your thing on, challenging plays. The difference in the pro game is you have multiple assistants sitting behind with tablets where you're able to see it live, see the replays live. And from what the view that I have, it looks like we're not seeing those coaches having that ability where it gives you the chance to really get a good look at what the play just happened.
You can if you can catch it, but a lot of the replay systems in college basketball haven't caught up to that speed yet for benches to be able to relay that to their head coaches in time. So it's going to have to be more of a gut feel thing as Ryan Lafferty loses it off his foot.
Just a little bit over dribbling there from Ryan Lafferty, but a good job from Wavers staying down and staying in a good defensive position, not allowing anything to the middle of the court.
Andre Rodriguez bringing it into the front court. Good game for Rodriguez. 9 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, and the Okafor gets it inside and gets to work for WSU. 8 points for Okafor.
Yeah, really impressed with Andy Okafor's effort tonight, being that stable in the in the paint for this Cougars team.
Season high 8 points for Okafor. He's looking to provide some defense. One of the best shot blockers in the WCC last year. He taps out the rebound. Parker Garrett's in the game. Simon Hildebrandt really battling down low, and he draws a foul from Austin Hero.
Okafor does a good job. You get this underscreen from Favors. You set your feet. Don't let anyone push you out, and that's exactly what that strong frame of ND Okafor does there. And when you get that deep position, all you got to do is turn and put it up.
He only got bigger and stronger this offseason. He grew an inch before his junior year, and he put on 15 pounds of good weight for Washington State. Officials trying to calm things down before the inbounds, and John Tower not too happy after the last foul call on Austin Hero, his third of the game. Emmanuel Ugbo's back for the Cougars. Out of the double team to Andy Okafor. Andrea Rodriguez lobbing Okafor. Okafor, little righty hook. He's been working hard on that shot. He's called for the foul, going for the rebound.
Really good job there from Rodriguez, throwing it high to Andy Okafor. Just unable to come up with that jump hook, and gets a little aggressive on the offensive rebound and runs into the back of the Tommies.
He just becomes so much more lethal, doesn't he? If he gets that shot dialed in, a little hook from inside of 6 feet, it's going to work every time. Out of the corner, 3 for Jermaine Coleman. He had 1 in the first half. Andrea Rodriguez plays the bounce, gives it to Thrasterthin. Ball batted. Emmanuel Ugbo trying to race to the corner, and it's Cougars ball. We'll take a timeout. Washington State still holding on to a double-digit lead, up by 22 here in the second half.
The Cougars have been looking for players to step up, and this is a guy that has done it tonight. ND Okafor showing his array of scoring ability, being the physical, showing that physicality in the paint, and that's something that the Cougars have been looking for and stressing on.
They wanted to get better inside this year, and Andy Okafor is going to be a big part of that, both offensively and defensively. He's now up to 8 points. He's one of 4 Cougars who are within 1 shot make of joining Tomas Thrasterson in double figures. So Washington State, they've really spread out the scoring. They've had a lot of great options, different guys who've carried the load at different times, and that's really nice. The Cougars not one-dimensional.
And it's one thing to ask your post player to get the ball, make a bunch of dribbles, but they're doing a good job of putting ND Okafor in situations where he can just get the ball and use that athleticism.
Andrea Rodriguez pass misses Andy Okafor there behind him. Second turnover for Rodriguez, who has played a team high 19 minutes for Washington State. Rodriguez, another one of those Cougars right on the fringe of the 10-point mark, along with Emmanuel Ugbo, Emily Yalaho, Andy Okafor. Tomas Thrasterson, all of his 18 points came in the first half. It's a new career high for the sophomore. Little contact. Ugbo stepping out on Bjerke. Now Janowski. Minnesali to the baseline, 7 to shoot. Cougar double team comes. Minnesali tries to swim through it, and a foul on Wazoo.
And just good patience there from Minnesali. The Cougs have done a fairly good job of closing out short. You don't want to allow a guy that wants to put his head down and get to the rim. Allow him to do that. Only 2 of 11 from the three-point line this year. But you got to stay sturdy once the ball gets close to the rim. You can't jump out of position.
Minnesali 66% from the line so far this year on limited attempts. Hits the first of these 2 shots. Second amongst Summit League freshmen last year, 11.2 points per game. He now has 14 today, chasing the 20-plus he had in the first 2 games of the season, 20 and 24 each of his first 2 times out.
And he threw in 4 assists. You see how much he provides for this St. Thomas.
Andrea Rodriguez thought that was off of Austin Hero. He looks over towards his bench, hoping for a challenge. It doesn't come. So Rodriguez had only 1 turnover 2/3 of the way through this game, or 3/4 of the way through this game, rather. He's trying to force one there for Washington State like he did in the first half with his long reach. Nolan Minnesali, a kick out. Connor Bjerke for three. Rodriguez the rebound. 5 boards for Rodriguez with his 9 points. Guard also has 5 assists, gives it up to Emmanuel Ugbo. Andy Okafor drive it in on Bjerke. That's a nice finish on the run for Okafor to get into double figures.
Real soft touch from the big fellow there, but Ugbo does a good job of understanding the double team's going to come to him in the mid post because of his physicality and size, and finds Andy Okafor for that cut.
Okafor, who back in 2022 was a 4-star recruit for Cal. Transferred to Washington State last year. Had a great season, block and a half per game. 4th best in the WCC. And he was super efficient, 62% from the floor, 5th best in a single season in Washington State history, but the Cougars called for a foul down low. It's on Emmanuel Ugbo, his 3rd.
You can see here, Ugbo gets the double team, a little over help from Bjerke, and it leaves Okafor that middle lane. Anytime you allow the ball to the middle, good things are going to happen for the offense, and Okafor takes advantage of it.
So turnover back to St. Thomas on the offensive foul. See Garretts and Rodriguez hitting the bench. Glass and Morton are back for WSU. Nick Janowski into the front court. Austin Hero, just a single 3-pointer back in the first half. Slings it throughout to the left wing. Janowski for 3, and Nick Janowski has 15 points tonight.
Yeah, and you hit it right on the, the nail on the head there. Slings it. He put it right to 2 defenders' arms on a rope, and Janowski knocks it down.
Emmanuel Ugbo trying to answer, and he calls that 3 from Nick Janowski.
And I'm not sure how you guard a guy like that with that size, with that physicality, but then also has that smooth jumper.
Nolan Minnesali on the block, trying to get around Ugbo. Ooh, looked like a nice defensive play from Ugbo. He's called for the foul. That's going to be the 4th on Emmanuel Ugbo.
And just battling in the paint. Minnesali trying to get some ground. Ugbo not giving it up. That's a tough one. That's one of those ones where Ugbo does a good job of using his hands, being quick, also while keeping his chest and presence.
And it's one where Minnesali leans in and creates a lot of that contact. Usually for the defender on the blocking foul, your key is, are they initiating the contact? Both guys battling hard there.
100%.
Nolan Minnesali hits the first free throw here, so he's made all 3 of his second half free throws in the game. Minnesali's 6 for 7. So you see Emmanuel Ugbo hitting the bench for the Cougars with 4 fouls. He's the only Cougar in foul trouble. Nobody else for Washington State even has 2 tonight. Both free throws good for Nolan Minnesali. Washington State has shot it 56% from the floor, 42% from 3. And they've held down St. Thomas tonight pretty well defensively. Ace Glass trying to post up Andy Okafor. Now gets an Okafor screen, back to him. Okafor across the lane. Morton baseline drive, doubled. Morton out to Yalaho, who's open at the top of the key for 3. And Ace Glass, did he knock that back off of Johnson Arigu? Yes, he did.
And just a heads-up play from Ace Glass there, understanding that the offensive player does not see him. He's able to creep behind and get a nice strip off the leg of the St. Thomas.
Bounce back off the back of the right leg of the sophomore Isaiah Johnson Arigu. So nice job by Ace Glass. He lobs into Andy Okafor. Okafor's up to 10 points. He goes out to Tomas Thrasterson, who's fouled on the drive. Let's go into the baseline. No continuous motion there for Thrasterson. How about for Washington State? 18 points from Tomas Thrasterson. Really in the first 3 quarters of the first half. They haven't needed him since because of how spread out they've been offensively.
Just shows the versatility of this offense for the Cougars, that you can find different ways to score from different players and don't need it all from one. As we see Andy Okafor continuously dominate the paint with a nice high left-handed hook. Not an easy shot.
Paint points for Washington State, 30-24 advantage there. Andy Okafor's been putting on a clinic in the second half down low, banging bodies with the Tommies. Into the game. St. Thomas has got Tim Franks in there. Foul on Washington State. It's a hard foul. Isaiah Johnson-Arrigu hit. That's Okafor imposing his will defensively, his second personal.
And you got to love the energy there from Andy Okafor. You don't want to give up anything easy at the rim.
Going to make Isaiah Johnson-Arrigu earn it at the free throw line where he's 2 for 3 this year and hits his first. Johnson-Arrigu, sophomore, who's a former #2 ranked player out of Minnesota in high school. He won back-to-back state championships in the state of Minnesota. Started his career at Miami and Iowa prior to St. Thomas. Hayden Tibbetts back in for the Tommies. Second free throw good for Isaiah Johnson-Arrigu. Lead 20 for Washington State. It's where they were at the half, leading 50-30. Tomas Thrasterson is spin on the block. Emily Yalaho has the offensive board for the Cougars. Putback won't go.
2 point-blank opportunities there for the Cougs. They were unable to come up with anything.
Quickly the other way. The Tommies to the corner with Tim Franks. Thrasterson stops him up. Ben Osterbond scoreless in this game tonight to Isaiah Johnson-Arrigu. Now a drive stop by Hildebrandt. Step back three. Nick Janowski. Team leading 18 points. Janowski's hit some nice three-pointers tonight. Ace Glass the other way behind the back dribble. A little quick for Washington State. Johnson-Arrigu. Janowski passes up the shot, gets it back. Why not? He's been the hot hand. It bounces off.
And he's been the one bright spot for the Tommies on the offensive end. Just trying to find someone else that can step up besides Minnesali and him.
Janowski's matched Thrasterson's 4 for 7 performance from 3 tonight. Across the floor to Ace Glass. Tomas Thrasterson, how did he find him there? Second three-pointer for Glass.
The vision has been really good for the Cougs, and the sweet stroke of Ace Glass, really impressive freshman. They got something good here in Pullman.
This three-point shooting's more like it for the Cougars, 41%. They shot 24.5% in their first 2 games. Tomas Thrasterson has the board for WSU. Thrasterson into traffic, lost the ball, and it's back to St. Thomas. Thrasterson a little frustrated here in the second half, but he just had a nice assist a moment ago to Ace Glass. Across the floor for the 3, Cougars by 20.
Here at Washington State University, we turn our eyes on local communities, on all corners low, on the future, and we go. Identifying challenges, uncovering potential.
We go forward. We go boldly. We go cultivate.
Go imagine.
Go further. Go heal.
Fearlessly, tirelessly, with all we are, with all we've got.
We go together.
Washington State University. Here we go.
We rise in the West. We see the boundless horizon. We celebrate long days and the longer light. It ignites our passion. It fuels champions and inspires those who play lights out. As each day sets, we are always the last one standing. It's our zone because we rise in the West. West Coast Conference.
Clutch Seats. Get in on the action. Don't miss the save. Scoring tickets has never been easier. Get your tickets now at soldout.com. Soldout.com is a proud partner of the West Coast Conference.
Some their main career. Some give a weekend a month. All we need are the moments. In the Air Force, how you serve is more important than how much you serve. You always get more out than what you put in. full-time, part-time, in or out of uniform? How many moments can you give?
Washington State 6.5 minutes away from its first win of the season. Cougars leading by 20. And Steven, we talked about it earlier at the half that basically everything was going exactly the way the Cougars needed it to go. The other thing we haven't hit on, 14 assists on 25 made shots. David Riley talked to you earlier today about that his best teams, they've got to be sharing the basketball.
Yeah, in his coaching career, as we see Berkey knock down a three, as a head coach, he's having teams in the top 50, top 40 in assists, and you can't draw it up any better tonight. You come off 2 losses if you're the Cougs. 9 players have scored. You've shared the ball. You've dominated the paint, and you're playing aggressive defense. You can't draw it up any better so far.
Now, if you're St. Thomas right now, these next 4 minutes, if you can go on a run, this game's not over. Washington State trying to punch the gas pedal down the stretch. Rahard Favors for 3. The Latvian Lasers got his first of the season.
And when you got a 6'7" guy that can pick and pop like Favors, and a quick shot fake, not even really a shot fake, but just an eyebrow fake, sidesteps, knock down 3, very tough to guard.
Back to a 20-point lead for Washington State with teams trading threes, and Parker Garrett's called for the reach-in.
And Rodriguez, look at this wraparound pass with the right hand, and just a quick sidestep from Favors to create that separation. Really good execution from the Cougs late in the shot clock there.
Favors had the minor hiccup right before the start of the year injury-wise, but he mentioned what a big deal it was this offseason, really having his first full offseason to get in the lab, do his thing, develop his game, and he feels like that could set him up for big-time success this year.
Yeah, anytime you're not able to have like a full offseason and really dedicate yourself in the weight room, dedicate yourself in the gym, it can hinder you. But when you get those opportunities to have that length of growth over the summer into the fall camp, you're going to see big strides.
Austin Hero hits both foul shots in the 1-on-1 situation for St. Thomas. 18-point Washington State lead. Parker Garrett's only guy left from Washington State's NCAA tournament team a couple years ago. Gives it to Simon Hildebrandt. Down the side of the lane. Hildebrandt, the turnaround fadeaway.
Good job playing off 2 feet there from Hildebrandt. Gets stopped on the initial drive, but reverse pivots out of it. And a tough little 10-foot fadeaway there.
Washington State's continue to be mighty efficient tonight. 55% shooting for the Cougars. And a blocking foul on Simon Hildebrandt.
You see here, able to drive the ball with that size, gets off 2 feet, spins back, and a nice touch for the big fella there.
6 points for Hildebrandt tonight. Guy who can step it out from 3. Cougars would like to see some presence inside from him. He came to Washington State with 60 career college games. This is a 1-and-1 for Nolan Minisali after the blocking foul on Simon Hildebrandt. And the front end no good. Parker Garrett's has the board for the Cougars. Leading scorer has been Nick Janowski for St. Thomas with 18. Tomas Thrasterson 18 on the Cougars side, all in the first half. Adria Rodriguez for 3. Rahard Favors trying to get to it, but it's back to St. Thomas. Washington State is a team 10 of 24 from beyond the arc. Cougars trying to put some pressure on the inbounds.
Yeah, they continue to switch between that zone press and this man-to-man press, and it's done really well for them so far here tonight.
Nolan Minisali triggering the inbounds. He gets it back with a head of steam against Rahard Favors. Takes it all the way to the rack. Minisali, you can see such a good dribbler. Picks it up there at half court, and within a split second, he's at the rim.
And that's one of those tough things when you do press and you leave yourself on an island with a guy like Minisali. He's so good at putting his head down and using that explosive first step. I mean, we saw it here. He caught it at midcourt, and it's only 2 dribbles, and he's at the rim.
He's trying to get to the 20-point mark for a 3rd time this season. He's now at 17 for the night. Already 2 games with 20 or more this year for Minnesota. He had 4 total, a season ago for 6 in total on his career, including a career high 27 last year. He's got 18 tonight to draw even for the scoring lead for St. Thomas. Washington State trying to not let it go stagnant in the final 4 minutes with an 18-point lead. Ulaho to the corner, tough catch for Hildebrandt, low, maybe enough to bother the shot. Loose ball comes free to Vavers for the lay-in and putback.
And a really good job of Washington State as we see a foul in the open court for Rodriguez, but good job. Players continuously crashing the glass, getting the hand on the ball to keep that alive.
So Nick Janowski has the free throws. This will be 2 shots. First one good for Janowski. Janowski looking for his first 20-point game, the freshman from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he hits them both. He's got his first 20-point effort. It's a fun milestone when you're a college freshman, a guy who scored over 2,000 career points in high school. Emily Ulaho with the ball tipped out from behind by Carter Bjerke. It'll be Washington State's ball. 19-point lead, 3:55 to go when we come back. Cougars looking for their first win of the season on ESPN. Coming up for Washington State, a big matchup on Friday night. Their cross-state rivals, the Washington Huskies, come to town, and Danny Sprinkle and the Huskies, they look like they're going to be a tough team this year. They just fell last night in a close game to Baylor.
Yeah, Huskies are a tough team. Danny Sprinkle's got that team moving in the right way. It's going to be a fun one on Friday for the Cougs. And then you talk about the rest of the schedule, going to the Maui Invitational. Yeah. That's always a fun one.
Cougs ready to say aloha there. All these games coming up are on the ESPN family of networks. 19-point lead for the Cougars. Steven, in the break, we were talking about that this team's been laser focused tonight, coming off 2 losses to open the year.
Yeah, extreme focus as we see Andy Okafor put the ball on the floor there.
He's trying to wrestle it away for the Cougs. Maybe asking for a timeout. It's a jump ball instead, and Arrows with the Tommies.
Yeah, and back to your point, the game got to 16 with about 6 minutes left, and we were talking about it. You know, St. Thomas is 2 threes away from cutting it to 10, and that's when things start to tighten up. But the Cougs' job of staying focused on the defensive end and not messing up their assignments.
They've held St. Thomas to 43% shooting. Mentioned this was a team that was 3rd in the nation in effective field goal percentage last year. Only 31% from 3 for the Tommies. Over half of their shots in this game have come from beyond the arc. Nolan Minasali thought about it there. He's trying to get above 20 points for the 3rd time already on this young season. Across to the corner. Janowski already has his first 20-point game. Freshman fake to go up, kicks out to Johnson Arrigu. Arrigu inside the line for 2. And Andy Okafor battles to the rebound. It's a jump ball, arrow back to Washington State.
And another possession for Washington State. 27 seconds on the shot clock they have to run through on the defensive end. Multiple efforts, not allowing anything. The ball gets deep in the paint. No one's jumping for a shot fake. Just so sound and sturdy tonight on the defensive end.
The Cougars in their first 2 games were bottom 25 in college basketball in field goal percentage defense and 3-point field goal percentage defense. It seems like they heard the message loud and clear this week from David Riley about the next step they needed to make into week 2 of the season. And I know they're going to be excited that they rose to the occasion tonight. They'll be looking for ways to replicate it. Andy Okafor with the illegal screen.
Got there a little quick, wasn't able to set and let the defender move. But yeah, back to your point, college basketball's fun. The offensive end is fun. Those are the things that, you know, players love to see in programs, and David Riley plays a great pace and a great fun side of the offensive end. But when it really comes down to it, can you play defense? And the Cougs are showing that tonight.
Nolan Minasali directing traffic. Kicks back, 3 for Nick Janowski, and Janowski's got 23. Early season high for the freshman. 16-point lead for Washington State. Probably a little too late here for St. Thomas, just over 2 minutes to play. Tomas Thrasterson, no points in the second half after 18 in the first half, including 4 threes. He puts it on the deck and is fouled on his way in. It's on Austin Hero, his 4th. 2 shots for Tomas Thrasterson. And we mentioned in the first half the great turnaround at the line. 90% from the line, 18 of 20 after 56% a year ago.
Yeah, Thrasterson has done a good job. You score 18 points in the first half. You tend to come out and press and try to get more baskets, try to be that aggressiveness. But he's done a good job of just sharing the ball and letting things come to him. I know these points are coming late now here in the second half, but you got to applaud him for his effort tonight.
He came in tonight with the second most made free throws so far in the WCC this year. And the Cougars would love to see him get to the line as much as he has in these first few games as the season rolls on. Hero almost lost it. Younger brother of NBA All-Star, former 6th Man of the Year, Tyler Hero. Off the baseline, and it's to Johnson Arrigu for the basket.
And good cut there from Johnson Arrigu, staying firm, staying strong, not allowing the defense to push him off his line.
Thrasterson on the drive again, and he's checked on his way through. Still Washington State 1 foul away from heading into the single bonus. Third personal on Carter Bjerke. For St. Thomas, they're headed back home. In 3 days, they face Green Bay. Beautiful new arena they just opened up. The Lee and Penny Anderson Arena in St. Paul. On the drive, shot blocked by Isaiah Johnson Arrigu. Here come the Tommies. Austin Hero, a 3 for Carter Bjerke. That rattles off.
And that's kind of going to be the story of the night for St. Thomas when they look back at this film. Able to get some good looks from 3, just not able to consistently knock them down.
Another steal for the Tommies. It's getting a little messy for the Cougars late. Up the floor for Nolan Minnesali. Timeout taken by St. Thomas. That's another 20-point game for Minnesali. We were talking about that upcoming game on Thursday against Green Bay. Doug Gottlieb's guys out there, and it's been a rough start for Gottlieb, 5-30 in his first 2 seasons. Emily Yalaho into the front court for Washington State. Case Wynot in for the Cougars, misses the 3. It's probably the last offensive possession of the night for WSU. Kick to the corner, Tim Franks for a triple. And Franks with his first points of the season, the freshman, his first college points, a native of McQuinn, Wisconsin. Just a sliver of a second difference. Now on the 10th of the second, it clears up and the shot clock is dead. And Jerome Morton will be able to dribble this out for Washington State. Stephen, the Cougars needed a big performance coming in tonight. They get it. Their first victory of the season. And really, this was a game that matched the identity that David Riley wants for this Washington State club.
Yeah, it definitely matched the identity that they want to have. Share the ball, get out and run with pace, but it started on the defensive end tonight. And, you know, I really liked how aggressive and how good a job they did for not allowing St. Thomas to get the ball into the paint. Because St. Thomas coming off that 50 points in the paint versus Army, Washington State just shut that down early on, and that's what the recipe for success is.
Good first win of the season for the Cougars. Tomas Thrasterson leads the way, 18 of his 19 points in the first half. Manuel Ugbo and Andy Okafor down low join him in double figures, and a couple Cougars were right on the cusp of that double figure mark as well. Really good night for WSU. 52% from the floor, 40% from 3 in the 10-point victory. It was a fun one tonight from the campus of Washington State University. For Stephen Madison, our producer, Will O'Toole, and our director, Ross Miller, along with the rest of our ESPN Plus crew from Pullman, this is Trevor Williams saying so long. The Cougars get their first win of the season, taking down the Summit League preseason favorites 81-71 tonight on ESPN.